Tonight's conversation, family, I want to talk about the psychology of the island mentality. You heard what I said, family. I want to talk about the psychology of the island mentality. For many of you who follow me and follow my commentary, I've brought up the concept of the island mentality a few times. You know, the island mentality is not talked, I don't really hear people talk about it often. I think I'm like the only one who really brings it up and really get into the psychology of it. But I want to talk about this, family, because when we understand what the island mentality is and we break it down from a psychological standpoint, we can understand why many foreigners are coming here and their attitudes and behaviors are all similar. You understand, family? See, understand when we talk about the island mentality, we have to go back in time. We have to go back into slavery time so we can understand what took place on those islands, family. So you can understand what the island mentality is and how it operates on mainland. See, back in slavery on the islands, they treated those islands like prison camps. You understand? So when slaves were buck broken on those islands, it was the slaves and it was the slave masters. It was a very intimate relationship on those islands. You know, it was very, very straightforward. You had the slaves and you had the slave masters on those islands. And those islands were populated with indigenous people, and then they were populated with a lot of Africans. So the population of the indigenous and African people on those islands was very high. It outnumbered the YT people on those islands. So the YT people had to be very brutal in their system of control. They had to be very brutal. So what this caused was they began to enact a lot of psychological trauma on those islands, family. That's what the YTs did. They were enacting a lot of psychological trauma. They were getting into a lot of buck breaking. They were getting into a lot of physical pain and torture. You understand? And what this did was, though the YTs were trying to consolidate control over these people or these slaves on the islands, what they ultimately did is they caused the slaves to unite in a way that was good for the slaves. Because the YTs were so brutal, the slaves started to really unite in ways and fight back on those islands, family. We have to understand who we're dealing with here. So it's a lot of foreigners coming to our country, and they're from the islands. We have to understand who these people are and why they are the way that they are, because they have this island mentality. I've got to break down what psychological behind the island mentality. So when the YTs on the islands begin to go into a lot of psychological trauma, ultimately to condition these slaves and break these slaves so they could utilize these slaves into fierce work, they began to enact brutality unimaginably. You understand, family? And I'm talking about some of the worst treatment was taking place on those islands. A lot of buck breaking. And if you understand what buck breaking is breaking down the slave mentally, physically, and psychologically. That was going down on those islands. So a lot of those people on the island started to form maroon colonies where they could plot, plan, and strategize to deal with these YTs on a guerrilla warfare level. Because the inhumane treatment that these YTs were doing on those islands caused those people to lock and step together in ways that they had to, family. They had to. I get it. On that island, when it was the slaves against the slave masters, they had to come together and fight back. And I give it to them. They did that on those islands, family. They did it. But the problem with it is that when Many of these islands gained independence and began to leave those islands. They came to mainland with the island mentality, family. They came to mainland with island mentality, that us against you mentality. See, that us against you mentality, it worked well. It worked very good on the island because it was them against the slave master. That's a good mentality to have. It's me against you. You understand? We gonna do what we gotta do to survive. But when they came here into the United States, into mainland with the island mentality, they brought the us against you mentality. And this was different from mainland Negroes, from mainland freemen like myself. Mainland Negroes were the opposite. We didn't have an us against you mentality. We had a collective mentality, because what we witnessed with the YT here on mainland was the same brutality, the same system of buck breaking, but the YT outnumbered us here. They outnumbered us on mainland. On the islands, it was the indigenous and the Africans who outnumbered the YT, but on the mainland, the ITs outnumbered us here. So we had to create a whole system of warfare against these people because they outnumbered us dramatically, and they kept us on those prison camps called plantations, where were heavily guarded. They had a lot of ammunition and guards and armed guards and hound dogs and all kinds of shit. So we had to create a whole different system. That's why you had a lot of those Maroons, going into the swamps. We had to create a whole different system to survive here. So it wasn't a us, when it came to us, it wasn't a us against you mentality. We understood that it was us against the slave masters, but we didn't have a us against you mentality against other black people. You understand? We looked at other black people because we were outnumbered. We looked at other black people as valuable resources in numbers. You understand what I'm saying, family? We looked at other black people as valuable resources in numbers. So we automatically looked at them and said, we need these niggas. So now let's befriend them because we need them because we're outnumbered. So our mentality as mainland Negroes has always been to gather numbers so we can fight properly on an even battlefield with these YTs. So we didn't have an island mentality. We didn't have a us against you mentality against other Negroes or other melanated people. But when those people from the islands got here, they automatically begin to enact their us against you mentality. That island, because they were conditioned by those YTs, that us against you, they brought that mentality here. And they begin to enact that mentality on freedmen here in the United States. And that same mentality that started from slavery on the islands is still here today, family. It's still here today. And this is the reason why, you understand? This is the reason why you get all of these island melanated people coming here, and immediately they have that us against you mentality. And immediately they're putting up their flags and letting you know it's us against you. And we're looking at them like, what? Why? That don't even make sense. We're outnumbered here. We need your numbers. Why are you coming here and you're saying us against you? It doesn't make sense. You understand? As a strategic weapon for military warfare, numbers are very important. And the American freedman has always understood numbers are important. But it doesn't. But when a lot of island melanated people got here, they didn't care about numbers. They cared about their numbers. They cared about their problems. They cared about their identity. They cared about their nationality. And it was immediate us against you. And that was enacted in the way they treated Black American people, the way they thought about Black American people, the way they understood Black American people, and the way they comprehended living in America. It was all about them and their identity and preserving their identity. And I'm not mad about that, family. But in preserving identity, it doesn't need to be us against you. You can still have your identity and work with other people. You can still have your identity and be allies. You can still have your identity and still have partnership. You can have your own identity and gather troops to go to war. You understand, family? So we have to understand the psychology between the us against you, the island mentality. Because that mentality has not served the diaspora well. It hasn't. It hasn't served them well. All it has ever done was create divide and conquer and cause division. And it's this island mentality that caused the whole friction in today's relations between those who come from the islands and those who are mainland freedmen. It's the island mentality. It's the I gotta wear my flag on my flag is on my chest all day. You understand? It's in the car, it's in the window, it's on their pages on social media, it's on their shirts, it's on they got bandanas. They can't get past the island. I am telling you, Negroes, you island Negroes, you ain't on the island no more. You're not on the island anymore. So the island mentality doesn't serve you well on mainland. So I say, so what does that have to do with what I'm about to go into right now? I want to talk about Wyclef. I want to talk about Wyclef and the conversation he had on 54.1 and how these island mentality Negroes, these island mentality people are now hooking up with Africans to come against us. And we saw it in real time, family, when Wyclef went on 54.1. And all they talked about was denigrating Black Americans and foundational Black Americans. This is all they talked about. See, we have to understand, family, that what the island mentality creates is a selfish individual and an individual that's all about them. And this is the reason why all the islands can't get along, because they all have the island mentality and they're all selfish as hell. And they all put themselves first. You understand? Whereas mainland Negroes, we think collectively. The island thinks about the island. You understand? So while in Wyclef, he used, and look at the connection, family. Godfrey used FBAs to garner his base. He used FBAs to build his brand, to build his name. And then he turned around and denigrate FBAs. What did Wyclef do? Use FBAs to build his name, use FBAs to build his brand. And then he turns around and denigrates this very same people who built him up and supported him. Follow me, family, because all of these island Negroes all share the same mentality and all act and behave the same way. You understand? Along with the African, who is very tribal, because in order to understand that island mentality is a form of tribalism. That's all it is. The island became their tribe. They're one big ass tribe. And this is the reason why you got all of these people who are from various different islands and they can't even find the commonality. They look at each other like total different people. You understand? Like total different tribes. It's tribal mentality, island mentality. One and the same. It's the connection. But back to this Wyclef character. I think about Wyclef and why he chose to go this route. Denigrating Black American people, foundational Black American people. Saying disparaging remarks about our people. How Caribbean people, he tried to, and it's crazy to me because I don't even know how he said what he said with a straight face. He can't believe what he said with a straight face. You understand? That Caribbean African people impact Black culture more than anybody. Let me tell you something. Black American culture, foundational Black American culture, has heavily influenced Wyclef. Let's be clear. Wyclef built his brand in the genre that was built by Black American music, hip hop. Wyclef built his brand here in America, supported by FBAs heavily. Wyclef always identified as a Haitian openly, but Wyclef music didn't reflect Haitian music. His music always reflect Black American music. So Wyclef is a product of Black American, foundational Black American music. And so was Bob Marley and all of those Caribbean people. All of them were students of Black American music. Everyone knows that Bob Marley was literally he was carbon copying, imitating the Temptations. Bob Marley was designing himself to be Akon 2. Yup, Akon 2. These guys. Bob Marley was designing himself to be a Caribbean David Ruffin, a Caribbean Marvin Gaye. Family, watch how these people will build their brand, build their whole legacy on foundational Black Americans' back, but turn around and discredit and disrespect us as a people as soon as they reach levels of fame where they feel like they can't be canceled. This is the reason why I don't respect these people. This is the reason why delineation is a must. Because these people are filthy, wretched swine of men, family. That's all they are. With weak, feeble island mentalities that are outdated, they don't work, they're on mainland and they still carrying around these goddamn flags and acting tribal and acting like maniacal little minions. You understand? Uncivilized maniacal minions. You understand? You can't bring a island mentality to mainland. You understand? It doesn't make sense. Right? On mainland, it's a different world. All right? There's room, there's space, there's more people. You understand? The population is bigger. There's more places to go. There's more people to ally with. There's more people to partner with. You are bigger than the island. You've outgrown the island. That's why you're here. You're not on the island anymore. You're bigger than the island. So why still walk around with the island mentality? You're not there anymore. And many of you, to keep it funky, you don't want to go back. That's the shit that gets me. You don't want to go back. You're never going back. So drop the island mentality, the us against you mentality, and get civilized under allyship and understand that if you're going to be here with American freedmen, with Black American freedmen, you are to be humble and stop trying to cosplay and stop trying to imitate and stop trying to disrespect mainland Negroes. You understand? Because we ain't having it. I get it. Many of you don't really understand mainland Negroes. Mainland Negroes are very different than island Negroes. Island Negroes look out for island Negroes. Mainland Negroes look out for everybody. We're totally different. We're opposite. And this is the reason why our benevolence you've taken advantage of. Our benevolence you looked at as weakness. Because you don't understand why anybody would think about looking out for everybody. When you were conditioned to look out for you, we're two different breeds. You understand? We're just two different breeds. So while Wyclef used Black Americans to elevate his career to look out for himself, he turns around and denigrate the same very people who elevated him. This is a wretched swine of Negro. And this is the reason why, family, Wyclef is finished. Didn't re- and his little rant on the 54-1 show, to me, that was clout chasing. Wyclef is finished. I don't even know when's the last time he put out a record. Nobody cares about Wyclef. He's pretty much persona non grata in America. You understand? He's finished. Nobody really cares about this dude. You dig? Nobody really cares about him. So him getting up there and saying what he's saying, to be honest with you, is falling on deaf ears for most of us, because most of us don't even rock with Wyclef. We don't listen to that dude. And when the Fugees was popping, people was messing with Lauryn Hill. Nobody really listened to no damn Wyclef. Nobody really listened to Wyclef. So he can say what he want to say. His career is pretty much done, and he won't sell another record here. So he better take his ass back to Haiti. You understand? Him and his little island mentality. Because the shit ain't gonna work here. It's not gonna work here. I hate to break it to you, island Negroes. That island shit don't work here. Not on mainland. So you gotta do better. You gotta work on that. You understand? The attitudes, the crabs in a barrel mentality that many of you have, the easily manipulated and used by YT against us. You understand? Now you're trying to get with the Africans against us. This shit is maniacal. It's disgusting. It's shameful. It's disturbing. But one thing it's not surprising. It's not surprising. There are journals, family. There are journals from the 1960s with Caribbean people being disrespectful toward Black American people. There are journals with Caribbean people saying they didn't want to be called American. They didn't want to be called Black. They didn't want to be associated with those American freedmen Negroes. Caribbean people in the 1960s saying that shit. You understand? All in all, the civil rights movement is happening at the same time. You see the sickness in that shit? Black Americans are fighting for the rights of the whole goddamn United States. Everybody coming here, fighting for the rights, the human rights, civil rights. And the nerve of Caribbean people here saying that they didn't even want to be associated with those Negroes. Don't that sound familiar? Who else said that? Didn't the Latino say that the civil rights movement was the Negroes' problem? That they didn't want to be associated with those Negroes? So we fight for civil rights for everybody. We get the rights, and now everybody can benefit. And those same people who benefit weren't even for the shit. They were against it. These people are scavengers, family. Scavengers. And to be honest with you, thank God for delineation, because I don't really see no use for them, to be honest with you. I'm going to keep it funky with you. They've already been co-opted for the most part. Many of them have no accountability. You understand? I heard, and I'm going to check this out. I was listening to some commentary from a broadcast that Tariq did. Shout out to that brother. And he was talking to an individual. He said something real interesting. A Haitian dude that was from New York. And the Haitian dude was he started off mutual. He started off mutual, and he sounded like he had some intelligence. He sounded like he was onto something. He was saying how he wanted Black people to unite, and I get it. I hear you. Nobody wants Black people, melanated people conflicting. I get that part. You understand? But you have to understand why Black Americans started delineating, and this is the problem that I'm having with a lot of people. A lot of Africans, a lot of Caribbeans, they act stupid. They act dumb, like they don't understand why Black Americans said, you know what, we're going to separate from you Negroes because you people are fucking nuts, right? But anyways, so the Haitian dude goes in to say that Black Americans were being xenophobic. That Black Americans were being xenophobic. And I find that interesting because that shit that's a conundrum. That makes no sense. You can't be xenophobic fighting against xenophobia. You understand? We have to understand why delineation took place in the first place. Black Americans started delineating because the diaspora was being xenophobic. We would go to their stores. You motherfuckers got attitudes, don't want to serve you right. We go into their stores, they overcharging us. They parents is telling them not to deal with us. You understand? Their parents is telling their kids that we welfare babies and we crack babies and all of this shit. Their parents is telling them don't play with those Americans. That's called xenophobia, people. All right? Xenophobia means fear of outsiders. Immigrants were coming here with fear of outsiders, with that island mentality, us against them, right? Being xenophobic toward Black Americans. Yeah, did you people forget that? What is going on in the mind of some of you people? So how are Black Americans being xenophobic when we decided that the only solution to xenophobia coming from the diaspora was to separate ourselves from you toxic ass xenophobic people, you island mentality people, for our own mental stability? Our only resort in dealing with you people was to delineate. So when the Haitian dude was talking to Tariq and he was talking about how Black Americans are being xenophobic, I'm glad Tariq checked his ass, because it doesn't make sense. Black American, you gotta have some accountability. Okay? Black Americans can't be xenophobic when we are fighting against xenophobia. That was the problem with the diaspora. You Negroes are xenophobic. You got the island mentality. Us against them. And that's the mentality that a lot of you first gen and second gen immigrants still have. Even though your parents taught you that shit, you still have it. Many of you are Americanized. Many of you went to school with us. Many of you dated us. Many of you have children by us. And you still carry that us against you mentality. You're still disrespectful. You think we don't know. You understand? Many of you first gen who understand where Black Americans are coming from, because your parents told you to stay away from them Black Americans. And many of you told us. So we know we ain't bugging. Many of you told us. But even you try to play both sides of the fence. You see, you try to play both sides. And in one instance, you'll say, we all need to unite. And then the other instance, you'll say, you Black Americans need to stop being xenophobic. Well, did you forget why we decided to delineate? Or are you just weaponizing plain dumb? You understand? Are you weaponizing plain dumb? You understand? So, in understanding the psychology of the island mentality, family, I want all my FBA people to understand that when you're breaking down the psychosis of the island mentality, you have to understand that this mentality was bred during slavery. And now the whole flag thing, where they can't put down a flag, it's in their bio, it's on their shirt, it's on their, they got earrings. That's a part of it. That's a part of the psychosis. That's letting us know all day, all the time, it's them against us all the time. That's what the flag is about. That's why they can't put it down. That's why it's everywhere. Shit, it's in their goddamn window in their living room. They always letting you Negroes know, letting us know that it's us against you. That's what that flag is about. All the time. You understand? These people are conditioned. They can't let it go. Many of them haven't been on the island for 30 years, and they still walking around with their damn flag in their back pocket. And they ain't never going back to that island. Make it make sense. I don't understand it, family. It don't make sense to me. I don't know why they do it. You did? It makes no sense. And you want to know the interesting fact, family? The sick, twisted fact? Many of these same people go back to their country, and they country people tell them that they're not even from that country no more. It's disturbing. It's disturbing, family. So many of these people are suffering they're suffering from a duality in identity because they can't go back to their countries, and now we telling them you can take your ass across the street because we ain't fucking with you. So now they standing in the middle of the street saying, okay, what do we do now? We got to fend for ourselves. Good. You should have came here with more respect. You should have came here with the idea of trying to ally with us. You understand? You should have stopped being cheap on the oxtails. When you know what I'm saying? Every time I try to go get oxtails, you motherfuckers being cheap on the oxtails, giving me all the gristle and the fat. You understand? And giving all the other people the good stuff. You're giving me the bullshit with an attitude on top of that, and you're overpricing me. The hell with you. You're disrespectful. That's why I don't go to Jamaican restaurants no more. I don't go, bruh. I just don't go. The attitude and how cheap they is with the damn food and how expensive they be. These people are fucking nuts, man. They crazy, bruh. These motherfuckers will give you they give you a lot of cabbage. They give you a lot of cabbage. You did? They give you a lot of cabbage. They even give you a good amount of rice and peas. You know how they say peas and rice? You know, they get pissed off when you say rice and peas. They don't like that shit. It's peas and rice, peas and rice. Shut the fuck up. Yeah? Shut up. You know what I mean? It's rice and peas, nigga. Alright? Cut it out. We sick of it, man. You take you and those oxtails, you take your ass across the street, we ain't fucking with you no more. We ain't dealing with you. Let me tell you something, foreigners, because some of y'all just don't understand basic stuff. But Black Americans were raised in households where you don't take food from angry people. You understand? Like, motherfuckers are poisoning you. Like, we don't, growing up, we were taught, if somebody had an attitude and they was making your food, don't take it. Don't take it. You know what I'm saying? Because people who make food angry are dangerous people. Because they can eating is a very intimate thing. Somebody can put something in your food and kill you. You know, you have to be very, very, very careful, with your food. So when you go into a restaurant and somebody got an attitude and they making your food, it's bad, bro. It's bad. It's not going to be good. You understand? It's not going to be good. You understand? That's one, foundational Black Americans know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about when I say that. Foreigners, I don't expect you to understand that. Because it's a lot of shit y'all don't understand. Basic stuff y'all don't understand. You understand? Many of you, y'all don't know, man. Y'all just raised differently. Many of you come from the islands. Y'all got that island mentality. And y'all just don't understand camaraderie. You don't understand allyship. You don't understand how to think as a community, to think as a collective. You think your nationality, you think your island, you think you're selfish people. You understand? So understand the psychology. So if somebody is coming the reason why I use the restaurant, I know that was over many of your head. I use that as an analogy to show you that even when somebody is spending money in their business and coming for their food because they like it, they still cheap on the food, overpricing them, being being selfish, only looking out for their own selfish gain. If somebody comes to your restaurant and they choose the food, you give them a decent plate. You give them a good price. You don't overprice them. You don't give them the bullshit food. I noticed the same thing with the Dominicans. They do the same thing. You go to a Dominican restaurant and you order food, they always doing that shit. They skimping you. They giving you the fat, the gristle. What it does is it shows you how people think about Black American people. They try to give you the scraps. You understand? They'll give you, like my wife, she likes a soup called sancocho soup. It's a Dominican soup. And it's like it's a soup with a lot of different, it got beef in there, a little bit of pork, a little bit of chicken, but it's a very, very good soup. But as we stopped ordering the soup years ago, because every time we ordered the soup, these motherfuckers will put the worst parts of every animal in it. It'll be the worst. It'll be nothing but fat, from the pork. It'd be nothing but fat from the beef. It'd be nothing but fat from the chicken. And we started to realize this. We like, yo, we eating the soup, and all we is pulling out gristle and pulling out fat. And it came to us that this is how they serve black people food. They give us the worst parts. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, family. I'm using food as an analogy because food is intimate. But when people do treat food, weaponize food against you, because why would you give me the worst parts of the food other than you don't care about me? You understand? You don't care about my health. You don't care about nothing. You want to give me the worst parts because you want to add to my getting sick. You want to add to that. You dig? So people are very disgusting, and this is the reason why, I no longer eat food from foreigners. I just don't eat it because they can't get it right. I don't fuck with it. If you're a first gen immigrant and you're here, you got to stop that island mentality shit, bro. That's the reason why FBAs are delineating it from many of you, because your island mentality is just too much. We no longer want to build with you guys because y'all guys don't want to build with us, and we don't want to build with people who don't want to build with us. We don't like people who don't like us. You understand? We don't rock with people who don't rock with us. You dig? That's just idiocy. That don't make no sense. So you cause delineation. Delineation happened because of you. You understand? Many of you first, second gen immigrants, delineation happened because of you. Because you carried on the tradition that your parents taught you. That xenophobia that you're talking about black Americans doing, you started that shit. Or your parents started it and they gave it to you. And you continued it. And now that got your ass delineated.
King. Look. Let your angel sing. I ain't twisted, this ain't the Henny talking for me. This is literally Malcolm Little talking through me. I ain't possessed, this is just when spirit meets the flesh, and a revolutionary is born, nothing less. It's hard for me to cope with stress, especially when I see the world much different from the rest. I can't sleep, nightmares, waking up, cold sweat, wondering if I ever made it, will they do me like the rest? For my black souls who really too upset to rest, so they wander through my dreams. Please tell me what this means.